to say. Thank you.
The chair recognizes the gentleman at microphone 1A.
Thank you. My name is Jason Selvig, and I'm from West Palm Beach, Florida. And I would like to say that I am sick and tired of the left-wing media, and frankly, people in this room today, spreading misinformation about Wayne LaPierre. Whenever there's a mass shooting, they all say that Wayne LaPierre isn't doing enough to stop these mass shootings, and even implying that Wayne LaPierre has played a part in making it easier for these shooters to get guns, to get weapons. You heard it after Las Vegas. You heard it after Pulse nightclub in Orlando. You heard it after Columbine. You heard it after Parkland. You heard it after Virginia Tech. You heard it after Sandy Hook. You heard it after El Paso. You heard it after Buffalo. You kept hearing that Wayne LaPierre isn't doing enough, and frankly, that's not true. The NRA, under Wayne LaPierre's leadership, has provided thoughts and prayers to the victims and their families. And maybe these mass shootings would stop happening if we all thought a little bit more and we prayed a little bit more. So I'm asking everyone in this room to think, to pray. Give your thoughts and your prayers and your thoughts and your prayers and your prayers and your thoughts. And if we give enough of these thoughts and these prayers, these mass shootings will stop. So I want to thank you, Wayne LaPierre, for all your thoughts and all your prayers. Thank you.
Welcome to the Progress Report. Bob Backus is away for the evening, and Mr. Fowley is gone for the evening. So I'm Lou D'Alessandro, and I'm here with the distinguished chairman of the Board of Aldermen, Patrick Long, also a state representative and chairman of the Hillsborough County delegation. Pat, if that aren't enough titles, I'll give you another one.
Nope, I'm good.
Distinguished
I'm good.
public servant.
Too many
Distinguished public servant. Okay, what we saw, and I think people ought to think hard about that. We've been given moments of silence and thoughts and prayers too many times. We need action. We need action. The country needs action. There are currently pieces of legislation before the United States Senate that could provide that action. I ask you, all of you, to be in touch with those public officials so that we can get action. We suffered a great tragedy in Texas, and as the days go on, Pat, more and more lives are lost.
Right.
And then we have this youngster from the Little Harbor School. Little Harbor School, 8 years old, gets killed, dies instantly from a shot from some crazy man who's just shooting at vehicles that are going by. Now, come on, let's wake up. The child's father was wounded, and he's going to recover, but the loss of an 8-year-old, that strikes home in New Hampshire. The loss of 22 fourth graders. Pat, I've always said that if the world were made up of fourth graders, we'd have peace and contentment.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Absolutely.
And here we have this situation in Texas, which takes away the life of 19 fourth graders. So I think we'll take these calls as they come in. Let's go, caller.
Hi, thank you.
You're welcome. Go right ahead.
Yes, I have a question. These are the perfect people to address it to. I have a soft spot in my heart for the homeless in Manchester.
Sure.
And I in Stock Park, where I walk my dog, there's now a porta potty. There are paths. There's running water. Can we relocate them, encourage them to go to Stock Park where they're safer and they have more resources?
So are you asking that we send the homeless to Stark Park, where those resources
I
are?
am. I am. If they choose to go there, I think it's a much safer place. I think there's more amenities there.
Right. Yeah, we do have ordinances that at 9 o'clock the park closes, so you can't be there after 9 p.m. And I'm not sure if Stark Park would be advantageous for them because in the center city is where most of the services that they go to, those that choose to go to those services, go to.
Correct.
And Stark Park is a little out of the way.
They're not far from there right now, and I actually they would be a little closer, or not so much away from the city.
We have in the center city, we have 1269 Cafe that's doing a great job. We have New Horizons that's doing a great job. Actually, I was just at a grand ribbon cutting for 11 homeless housing. 11 homeless housing. Now that's the first that I've heard in a long time, and we absolutely need more of those. But that's a wonderful start. Families in Transition had set that up. I mean, Stark Park is a ways away from services. I'm not sure if
But
that would.
they're in Colonial Village right now.
Right. Yeah. But actually, my understanding is that if there are people there, there's one or two. The issue there is the cleanup, that it needs to be cleaned up, and that's being worked on now as to how we're going to clean that up or who is going to clean that up. Services. I'm an advocate for services. I mean, everybody needs an opportunity to thrive. I've been down on my luck. I'm no special than any one of those homeless people. So I would absolutely advocate for them.
Right.
Nobody's above me, nobody's below me. So they're at my eye level. But for the grace of God, go I.
Right.
So, that's a consideration, but I think we may need, we may need the portables in other areas where it's easier for them to get to their services.
Right.
There's really, bus services and what have you. But I thank you for your call, and I
Right, thank
thank
you.
you for your advocacy on the homeless.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Enjoy night. Okay.
So with respect to that, with respect to the to the gun violence,
Yep.
action is needed. You're absolutely right, but the first action needs to be the compromise. We've got to stop being one ideal or the other ideal
Exactly.
and disagree with each other on everything, every little thing. The paperclip, no, I need another clip.
Right.
We disagree on everything. We need to first get in our minds that we're going to sit together, we're going to listen to our differences, and we're going to come up with a compromise that's going to help this situation. I'm going to tell you how it's going to work, and you're going to tell me, you're going to disagree with me, I'm going to disagree with you. We're not getting anywhere.
Right.
So we need people to sit at the table from both sides, from all sides,
Right.
and agree to compromise, however that may be.
I don't think there's any question about that, and that's the part of political, that's the part of politics that we've lost: the ability to compromise, the ability to meet and discuss a situation. It isn't all your way or all my way. There's a middle ground that makes sense and delivers what we need for the people. But to have the battles that we have now, the tremendous polarization, that doesn't do anybody any good.
No, when I've sat with people with my opposing view, I've learned a lot.
Yeah,
I've learned that, geez, there is some light at the end of the tunnel that I could get into and come up with a compromise that'll be beneficial to the citizens, and it doesn't have to be my way
Yep.
all the time. That when I allow that to happen for myself, to sit with my opposition and have a conversation, we always come up with, geez, I didn't know that, or
Right.
they didn't know this, and that's how you have action taken. If I stand my ground and they stand their ground,
Nothing happens.
nothing happens.
Right.
So
Information sharing is so important, and that's the key ingredient to compromise. Let's share the information, let's discuss it, and let's make a decision. In our country today, the number of deaths, well over 100 deaths, young children. Now, I got to say this, Pat. This one, Sandy Hook, was awful, 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 awful. But this one, all of these fourth graders in the same classroom,
right.
the person who committed this atrocity, there were over 100 rounds shot.
Right.
Over 100 rounds.
Yeah.
Some of those bodies are not identifiable. They need DNA to identify the bodies. Now, if, you're a parent. I'm a parent. I just can't. I can't think of anything like that happening to one of my children, my grandchildren, or my great grandchildren. My goodness, what's happening to our world? And it's not just the school shootings. Think of the violence in the city of Chicago, the violence in the subway in New York. Why are we becoming such a violent society? Why can't we settle? Why can't we settle disputes amicably with conversation? Why do we have to turn to violence? We are the most violent society in the world.
Yeah.
When you think of it, and we have. Just beyond the pale. It's beyond belief. And I know all of the vehicles. The press was going to Portsmouth today to interview parents, teachers, and friends of the young boy that was shot. I mean, that would I just find that's incomprehensible to me. Incomprehensible. An 8-year-old child. I mean, it sickens me, to be honest with you, Pat.
There's, I mean, when you, I mean, I don't have the complete data, but when you look at the news media and you read about, the shooting in Concord, the shooting in Keene,
Yes.
Manchester, I mean, violence is increasing and has increased, in these last few years, and what is the reasoning for that? There's no more discussion on how we're going to solve something. It's just take out my gun or take out my knife or punch somebody or, and a lot of times these are adults. We're adults looking to make our point, and that's how we end up making our point when somebody disagrees with us. I mean, there's an ethic out there where. You push your ideas and thoughts to the limit to where if somebody disagrees with you, you hate them all of a sudden, and you want to do harm to them.
Sure. Well, we've lost our moral compass, and I think that's so important. Listen, Manchester still is a great city, but when I came here, it was a wonderful city. Now, granted, we've had a terrible epidemic here. This epidemic of COVID has certainly changed the lives of a lot of people. People were indoors for a long time. They couldn't socialize. That social interaction is so important. But we're coming out of that now. We can't use that as the total excuse for what's happening around the country, because that was happening even before the COVID epidemic.
I think we had some benefits out of that. People are excited to get out. I mean, we had the taco tour. Look at the 20,000 people that showed up downtown. I don't believe people waited. My wife's daughter, husband, and family waited a half hour in 3 different lines to get $3 tacos, but they loved it. I mean, they loved the crowd. So people are anxious to get out. So that's a positive from this. Going a little backwards with COVID. People are anxious to get out. We're seeing a lot more community events that are happening. There was the community event grant that the city was offering. There were a lot of applications. A lot of people got approved of it. So that's just given us the boost we need to get people back together. I mean, when we're sitting at home typing into computers, we're not interacting with people that takes us back. I mean, I miss the face-to-face conversations.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, I'm tired of Zoom and
You're right. I'm
you know,
a little tired of
meeting
Zoom
and
myself.
you know, I
Right.
I like to look at people's faces
Right.
when I have a conversation with them.
And I think that's a way to solve many of our problems. Meet with people, talk to people, good social interaction, and we got to promote that. People
So-
getting together.
So I was involved with I was involved at the State House with it's something Angels. It's called Something Angels. Actually, it's an ex-rep from New Hampshire who set this program up nationally. New Hampshire was the first trial where there were 6 Democrats and 6 Republicans. We sat together for 4 hours in a room, had a conversation with each other, one-on-one, and then as a group. And there were you know, the people that I spoke with, you know, I admit I got a shield up when I meet somebody that's my
Yeah,
opposition. You know, I have a false shield up. I don't really know the person because I never really spoke to them.
Right.
Actually, I happened to speak with Fred Doucette, state rep from
Right.
Salem, and he's got a story like I got a story.
Right.
You know, and I was shocked to hear his story, and he was shocked to hear mine. I mean, I gained respect for him. I understood where he's coming from. I mean, we're going to disagree on items, but what makes the world interesting. I mean, we're not all alike.
Right.
You know, the art is having a conversation and coming up with a fix
Right.
that both of us can agree to,
Right.
and it betters off our citizens and our
Sure.
constituents.
Well, I think social interaction is so important that we lost that with the COVID pandemic. It's picking up now, particularly the kids. Now, one of the complaints I hear is mental health, and I agree with that because behavioral health, mental health are very serious problems. But that's not the complete answer. The complete answer is, as you said, people talking to people in society, people getting along with other people in society, not creating the aggressive environment that turns out to be the shooting in Texas,
Right.
the killing of this youngster.
Right.
People shouldn't be doing that. You can talk it out. You can get together and make it happen. I live in a wonderful neighborhood, Pat. I'm sure you do too. But my neighbors across the street are just great. We got another phone call, and we're going to
Great.
get them all today.
Great.
Go ahead. You're on. You are on with Pat and Lou. Go ahead.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I just have a follow-up question to my original question was about what about relocating the homeless to Stock Park?
Right.
How do I go about changing the ordinance? If people can't be there till 9, we'd like to change that.
Well, that would be I'm not sure. Are you in Ward 1?
I know I'm in Ward 3.
Oh, you're in
I'm
Ward
in
3.
your
That's
ward.
that's my ward.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Changing the see what happens with our parks is what happened prior to this ordinance is that people were sleeping in the parks. So those that wanted to use the park, especially in Ward 3, like Veterans and Victory, are the
Okay.
a lot of the elders and people on disability. But they were afraid to use the park because they were, being asked for money. There were several issues with that. So the reason why we have a park is for families to be able to go out there in the inner city where there isn't any greenery, right? They could take.
I tell you, I walk my dog all the time there, and
Yep.
there's no one there. It's like such a secluded, perfect place for people.
Yeah. Usually, well, during the daytime, especially during the week, there aren't people. You go by Veterans Park or Victory Park, and there's minimal people using it. But it's on the weekend where that all picks up. So changing the park ordinance, I don't think would be a good idea because of those issues. It doesn't allow those that legitimately need to use the park to use it because they don't want to go there because they're afraid of what's going to happen to them. There's a barrage of things that they're afraid of. So
How would you go about changing that in spite of you not thinking it's a good idea?
Well, no, I think it's a good idea to have a plan with respect to the homeless, not be moving them from encampment to encampment. But I need to get the support from, I'm just one of 14 aldermen, so I need to get the support of my other colleagues to find a location. I know people disagree with that. To find a location where homeless would be allowed to tent out. Of course, there'd be a lot of work to that with respect to enforcement and respect for each other as far as garbage and
course.
chemical toilets, showers, a warm.
I think it could be ideal. There's a vegetation garden down there now,
Right.
and
Yeah.
there's a potted, one of those ported toilets.
Yep. Yep.
And it's beautiful scenery. I think it would be ideal for people who don't have anything else.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we got plenty of other parks in the city too. So I don't know
But-
why we'd concentrate on Stark Park.
But I don't think they're as lovely as Stark Park or as prepared. There's water going down there.
Okay.
Well, but there are other parks in the city. There are parks right downtown, and the parks of the west side. And
Right.
there are ample areas where
Yeah,
people,
which the homeless use now.
Right, they use
during
now.
the day.
Right.
So, why would they want to? Why would they want to go to Stark Park? Is my question.
Well, it's beautiful. It's on the river, and there's
Yeah.
water supply, and there's a toilet.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't think why they wouldn't.
Well,
Yeah.
well, we'll
Well,
have
we
to
could discuss that.
Right.
Yeah. there's a big hill I got to climb to get to that point.
Right.
But
But we thank you.
I appreciate your
Right.
idea though.
Thank you for your thoughts.
More ideas are better.
But please take care and keep smiling. Thank you. Well, I mean, there was one piece of legislation, Pat, that got snuffed out right at the end, and that was the $5 million for the homeless. That just didn't get in. Now I've talked to people about using the fiscal committee, going to HHS, see if they can appropriate the $5 million, bring to fiscal committee as a transfer, and use it.
So what was
Send it
that?
out.
What was the distribution for the? What was the $5 million for?
Okay, the $5 million specifically for the homeless, and the distribution would follow the Medicaid formula.
Okay, would it increase the? I guess there's an issue with the daily bed.
With the
Price.
daily bed rate.
Did that increase?
I'm not sure.
Thought there
I'm
was
not-
a bill.
There was a bill. I think
I'm not
Senator
sure if that-
Senator Khan had a bill.
Okay.
But this bill would have allocated monies for the homeless, again based on the Medicare formula.
Yeah.
That would have given more money to every community to
Right.
deal with the homeless situation. Homeless is a real problem. We recognize that, and I think the encampments they become problematic because of the sanity.
Right.
I mean, and if you put the porta potties there, there are some that use them and some don't use them. I mean, the situation on the west side by the entry to the Effie Everett Turnpike, that I think exit 4, that was awful.
Right.
What turned out there was
Yeah,
incredibly bad.
Yeah, there needs to be a state plan. There isn't a state plan. I put in a homeless bill, but what they did is they merged it with the Housing Stability Commission. Because dealing with homelessness, in my opinion, is more than just dealing with homelessness. You have people that are homeless, that are couch surfing, that are living in their cars, that are doubling up in apartments, that it's not really their home. And then you have those that are unhoused. Those that are living on the streets, those that don't have a roof over their head. So both of those aspects need to be addressed. Now, Families in Transition and a few other entities are addressing a core of those people.
Yes.
But we need to address the core of the people that want to stay outside. don't
Right.
want to go
That don't
anywhere,
wanna go
don't want to
inside.
follow
Sure.
any rules. I get that. I don't want to follow any rules,
Right.
but I got to.
Right.
You know,
Right.
I got to stop at the stop sign.
Stop sign.
Imagine that.
Right.
What's up with that?
Stop at the red light.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
so,
sure.
so you know,
Rules.
so rules is the American way.
Right,
We gotta
right.
we gotta follow rules.
Right, yeah.
So you're right. We need a state. I know Mayor Craig has been arguing this with the state forever with respect to having a state plan that
Yeah.
ties in all the municipalities that are having these homeless issues. I was just reading about Keene. They just broke up an encampment there, and it created havoc.
Yes.
You know, and it does. Breaking up encampments does create havoc, but we need a state plan, because it's not just happening in Manchester. It's
Right.
happening in Salem. It's happening in Concord. It's happening in Nashua. It's happening in
happening.
Keene. It's happening in Dover, Rochester.
It's all over. It's all over the
You know,
state.
so we need like the healthcare regions that they have.
Right.
They need something similar to that with respect to homelessness. And we have a lot of great people that have concerns, like this woman that called us.
Sure.
There are a lot more people out there with those concerns on how do we help them, which is what's great about the state.
Sure, it's people thinking about people and caring about people and wanting to do something about it. And that's where a statewide plan would be essential. Look at during the Franklin Roosevelt era, we created the Civilian Conservation Corps.
Yeah.
We had people living in New Hampshire, CCC people, and they worked the farms. They camped out. They lived in modified housing, I might say. But that was an answer.
Right.
That was an answer that brought us out of the Depression. So we talk about affordable housing, all right, workforce housing. That's an answer. Where do you put it? How does it get built? What makes it affordable? What makes it affordable?
Right.
Those things have to be discussed. We have $100 million hanging out there for housing. $100 million came through the governor's office. 60% was going to go to conventional, 40% to municipalities. Well, how does a municipality use it? Is there land available? How much do you get for each unit you build? How long can that be sustained? Making it
So
affordable?
was that plan that the municipality would buy the property and build
It would give money to the municipality. And
for
the-
that, not
for-
necessarily the municipality-owned property. It would be
Right.
a developer who owns
Yes.
property and is interested in this
Right,
housing initiative,
That's how it was supposed to go.
and the city
yes.
would allocate the money.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And that's what's needing. I mean, we have a lot of housing in the queue right now.
Yep. Oh, yes.
And we have more. The old police station, 155 units, and that's purely affordable.
Yeah. Got the development on Elm Street.
On Elm Street, yeah.
Which is right across from the market
So
basket. That
so
seems to
so
be
we
moving
have
along.
plenty. We have plenty. What we do is we need to balance the market rate with what people are using. I mean, somebody working in a restaurant is not able to afford a $2,100 apartment a month or an $1,800 apartment a month. However they need. I remember visiting my sister in New Canaan, Connecticut. She was a pastor at the church there, and that's a suburb of New York City. And she says, okay, we're going to go to coffee tomorrow morning, and I'm going to show you what happens in New Canaan. So in New Canaan, it's all $1 million homes. So all the $5,000 suits with their briefcases were getting on the train
Right,
and going
right,
to
to
New
go to
York
New York
City.
City.
And then a half hour later, all the people in New York City were coming to New Canaan to clean their houses and do
Right.
their lawns. And I'm like, yeah, we don't want that happening in
Right,
New Hampshire.
right.
Somebody working in New Hampshire, in Manchester, has a right to be living in Manchester.
Yeah,
Should be able to afford
Right.
living conditions in Manchester.
Well, affordability is the key, making things affordable. And that's a challenge. There's no question that's a challenge. I think people are suffering with inflation today. Inflation, got to get it under control. That's the federal government's responsibility, and they got to work on it. They've got to get it done. We've got to get things done. And if indeed that doesn't happen, then the progress that we've put in place in this city for a number of years, the mayor and yourself and that goes fallow.
Right, right.
You-
I'm proud of the last two years at the board of alderman level. I mean, there have been some tough things we worked on that got panned out. Shauna Green, our homelessness director, is doing an outstanding job
Right.
in organizing churches with respect to addressing the homeless situation. They all have their own little niche. Actually, I met with my church, the First Congregational Church on Union in Hanover. They're interested in putting a group together and helping whatever we need to deal with. Right now, it's evictions of people that are on Section 8 that, apartments are being renovated to get the market rate. And these people are getting evicted so that the buildings could be renovated. However, they're in a situation they can't even afford to take their personal belongings and put them in storage. They can't afford that. They're
Right.
living month to month from their
Right,
checks.
right.
So that's an issue that I've talked with the church with, especially with elders and single parents
Yeah.
that are in that situation that they got to move. They're not going to find a $900 apartment a
Right.
month. They're just not going to find that. So what do? We need to address that,
Yep.
and we are addressing it. It's not as quick as I'd like.
Right.
However, it's getting there.
Yeah. Well, I think everything's moving in the right direction. Look at the progress we've seen in this city over the past few years. Look at the way we handled the epidemic. I thought that was terrific. Kudos to our health department. I think they did a terrific job.
Unbelievable, outstanding.
Unbelievable job. I think our hospitals did their fair work and did a good job. We really lived up to our commitment to people. The thing is, we've just got to carry that forward.
Right.
Carry that forward. You can't do it on $7.35 an hour.
No,
you
that's
just
right.
can't. You
Right.
can't do it.
Well, that's right.
And I
Yeah.
noticed that people are raising the minimum wage. I see it on the different venues that I go by, Burger King, McDonald's, etc.
It's a workers' market right now.
Yep.
If you're a business owner, it's a workers' market. The workers are demanding. I mean, at the county level, we're doing everything. We're using ARPA funding, American Rescue Plan funding, to stipend our workers to keep them from going to Elliott or CMC for a $5,000 bonus and a $15,000 a year increase in pay. And I was talking to Mr. Ross, is the director of the nursing home.
Right, Hillsborough County Nursing
So I
Home.
thought, instead of giving them a weekly, we give them a weekly. There's a proposal. There's a proposal to give them premium pay from that fund of $300 a week for like 4 or 5 months. So I says, how about if we give them the one lump sum? And he says they're not looking for that because their rents are increasing.
Right.
So it's a matter of, what do I need to do? I need to get this job isn't sustaining me and keeping my rent and feeding my family.
Right.
I need to get another job. So if I qualify for CMC or wherever and get
go.
that $5,000 stipend,
I go.
I'm there, and I don't blame them. So they need that $300
Yeah.
weekly to sustain themselves. And the hope is when this money is over, December of 2026, things would have changed. I know with respect to nursing, there's several. Actually, right on Market Street, we had a woman start a school, an LNA school. So there's a concentration on that. So I'm hoping in 2 years, anyways, there won't be that shortage of qualified personnel.
Right. Rivier College is graduating a tremendous number of LNAs and RNs. The University of New Hampshire's program, we increased there. We gave them a significant financial boost to create a better lab to work with patients and to train. So I think we're doing our part. It's getting these people to stay here in New Hampshire.
Right.
And that falls on the housing, Pat. They got it.
No, you're right. I mean, if
in order
I'm
to stay, they need
I'm
a place.
22 years old and I can't afford to live in Manchester,
Right.
there are jobs all over the state.
Right.
So if it's less expensive housing or in Maine or wherever, there's jobs all over the states.
Right.
So if I got to move to Maine to get a $900, an $1,100 apartment, there's plenty of work there also in whatever I'm qualified to do. So so again, it's a worker's world, and I know my wife was speaking to a brother who owns a lucrative business that they've had since 1950. It's a family business, and she just had that coming to Jesus moment with him, saying, you got to start thinking of these workers that have been there for 20 years, of padding them a little more now, because people, I know a couple of them were going to leave for other companies that were going to give them more money, and that's the bottom line. It's what's money coming in my pocket.
Right.
Is benefits are good, but a lot of people don't think of that until they're in their mid 40s or 50s. If I'm 32 years old, I'm not thinking about my pension.
Right.
I'm thinking about what are you putting in my pocket? That's my priority.
My disposable income.
Yeah.
So these things have got to get going, and again, we've got to cope with the inflation. Inflation is at a very, very high level at this point in time. That's got to be controlled, because that evaporates the dollar's buying power.
Right.
If you have these inflated costs, and they're all over the place.
Yeah.
But we need a plan to deal with it. People have got to buckle down and pay attention to things, and that's kind of what it's all about. We've come out of situations like this in the past. Now, people are talking about recession. If you talk about it, it will happen.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Let's be confident about where we're going and how we're going to get there.
Yeah. We could do all the projections we want down the road.
Right.
The bottom line is we have today. What are we going to do today to fix it? What are we doing
and-
today to fix it? Not it might happen a
Exactly.
year from now. What do we need to do? What are we doing today?
And Pat, that's exactly how I feel about the gun violence that's taking place in the schools.
Right.
What are we going to do today?
Yeah.
We've had moments of silence. We have those all the time, and we offer prayers. And there's nothing wrong with that. I don't, for the moment, think that that's a bad thing. But we need action, and we need action at the national level. And there is one group that refuses to do that. People want it. That's where people lose their trust in government, when they want something, and they have really a significant majority that wants it, and nothing happens. That's just not good government at all.
Well, I've seen that over the years at the State House side.
Yeah.
I've seen where there was 1,000 or 2,000 people protesting, and they didn't get their way.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
It's the elected officials that take their vote. But like I said, the bottom line is who's willing to compromise.
Right.
We're looking for something to happen. Who on the other side is willing to sit with us and discuss what can be? And I'll respect their thoughts,
Right.
and they'll respect ours, and we'll come up with a compromise that will work. That'll at least be an action item.
Sure.
Because no action is unacceptable.
Yeah, inaction is unacceptable.
Yeah, exactly.
And that spirit exists across the board.
Right.
It's with housing. It's with the homeless. We got to renew Medicaid expansion in the next biennium, so that has to be done, and all of those lives that were helped because of that, they have to be taken care of. So there are many things. By just having good discussion, we can solve. We've got to be talking to one another, and I think this 24-hour news coverage, it's really starting to bother me, Pat. You have the same thing over and over and over and over again.
Right.
Come on, let's talk about things that are relevant. Let's talk about what we need to do to make things better. I'm a firm believer in that. Having taught in Manchester for a number of years, having lived in Manchester, really almost all of my adult life,
Right.
and been very, very well rewarded by my activities in Manchester. I had great students as a teacher, and brought my family up in Manchester, and so all of those things were good.
And to think we have all the answers, we don't have
We
all
don't.
the answers.
We don't.
However, we'll talk to constituents that'll call us
Right.
to give us an answer and work with them. You know, I love getting a call from somebody. That's why this campaign coming up, I love going door to door to just get a pulse on what
Sure.
people are thinking. That excites me
Right.
to know that I'm going to be getting that pulse. And people, you know, people calling and giving us recommendations. That's what's needed.
Sure.
I can't think of everything. I won't think of everything, and I have plenty of ideas. Whether they're good or not, I don't know until we start implementing them.
Well, and people want that. People want to talk about things.
Right.
You know, people walk around the neighborhood. They're walking their dogs or they're walking their newborns, and you say hello, how are you, what's going on? They always have something to say, Pat.
Yeah, no, for sure.
They got something
for
to
sure.
say, and they
Yeah.
want that interaction, that social interaction, and I think that's the thing that's missing. Just talking to people and getting into that discussion and coming up with some answers. We gotta promote that. We really have to promote that.
I get that a lot when somebody will come up to me if I'm downtown eating or whatever. Somebody will come up to me and say, "Aren't you an alderman?" I am. And okay, here goes the conversation.
Right,
Well,
right.
you know what? I got a problem with, you know, and it's like, okay, I need to hear that. You know,
Right,
I need
sure.
to hear what people are thinking out there. A lot of it's perception
Yes,
through
absolutely.
media.
Right.
Right?
Yep.
I get that. If I'm sticking to a certain media, that's the only information I'm getting. I need like during the city budget, people came forward. Don't raise taxes. I get that.
Right.
Don't raise taxes. However, fix my pothole.
Right.
Well, they need more gas because gas is more expensive to get the truck to fix the pothole. So I don't know how that ties in together.
Right. Good point.
You know, services is, I know in the city, the discussions I have within the city, people talking to the people that live in Manchester, it's all about services. It's DPW.
Right.
It's police and fire.
Police.
It's all about their services. And I clearly get that.
Yep.
You know, I know when my garbage isn't picked up, I'm like,
Right.
okay, we got a problem there. And with keeping those services, you know, what you paid 10 years ago is not going to carry the same services 10 years later.
Right.
You know, so that's where the increase is.
Right. Well, the thing you hear all the time is I don't want my taxes increased, and I think, you know, that's important for us to recognize that, and we realize that because that is a problem. But if people get dollar value, that's another thing that's very important. What do I get for that dollar?
Right.
Do I get quality education? Are the streets okay? Do they pick up the garbage? Do they plow the streets in the wintertime? Do they repair the potholes? I think that's such a key element, Pat.
Sure.
And right now, there will be double the amount of money that usually comes back for the cities under the old municipal aid, because the 30 million of excess is coming back to the city, so they could use that. There's 38 million that's going to come back on a formula basis for roads and bridges, all stuff that's in the queue.
Sure.
And we're going to accelerate that coming back. That they were going to hold that until December. I've talked with DOT and said, let's get that money out quicker so that shovel-ready projects
Right.
could be done.
And it's a reflection. I mean, we don't think as Manchester being a tourism area. However, I like on Fridays, if I have time off, I'll go to the Doubletree downtown.
Right.
And I'll go to the Hilton Blue, and people that are leaving, I'll talk to them. Hey, where you coming from?
Right.
What were you what are you doing here? And what do you think of the city? Because that's a good perspective from outside
Sure.
the city.
Yeah.
And I know at a time it was great downtown you have, but you have a lot of homeless people down
Right,
there, and
right.
that bothered them.
Yes.
I mean, that's getting a lot better. So it's interesting to hear somebody outside the city's perspective. Even like I spoke to a group in Hooksett, because my issue was when they come to Manchester, do they need to find a parking spot in front of the business? And they always say never. When we discuss going out, we're never saying somebody's going to get there early and save some parking spots, right? They know they're going to a garage or to a parking lot, and they're going to walk there, and that's what we want. We want them walking by the other businesses to say,
Sure.
"Oh, I didn't know this was here. Let's check this out on the way back." You know, but Manchester, they want to. If I'm going to XO, I want to park in front of XO, or I'm going to drive around a couple times and go somewhere else. If there's, where it's
spot,
like,
yeah.
come on, let's park the car where we know we're going to find a spot and walk and see what's available downtown. It's I'm always amazed of the new openings and what's being offered downtown. It's a fun spot. I mean, and I'm amazed at. I'm amazed at, like on a Monday night, you come downtown and it's packed. People are out eating. People are out in the bars. I mean, it's packed, and I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
This is where people want to move downtown for that reason. You have the baseball field
Right,
you can walk to.
baseball,
You
yeah.
have the Palace. You have the arena.
Right.
You have all the bars and all the special places like there's a Board and Brews, where
Right.
you can play board games and have a beer. So there's plenty of unique areas in Manchester, and if you're not walking by them, you're not going to notice them.
Right, that's for sure. Yeah, the amenities are here.
Yeah.
And we got to keep them. We've got to keep them going. But again, that social interaction is such a key element.
Yeah.
And that's why safety is such an issue. And Manchester's a very safe place. New Hampshire is one of the safest places in the country. And we hear about these atrocities that are taking place in other areas, and I think it just really aggravates me when I see that. And we got a great product in Manchester. We got a great product in New Hampshire, and we can make it better. We've got to make it better because we've got to retain people.
Right.
We're aging as a population.
Right.
We're aging, so we got to retain young people.
Yeah.
Got to stay here, work here, stay, work, and play here. Isn't that Alderman Stewart's plan?
That's the
Stay, work, and play.
nonprofit. Yeah, that
Stay, work,
he's the
and play in
director
New
of.
Hampshire. Yeah, and I think he
Yeah.
does a
a great
good
job.
Yeah.
I love talking to him about
Yeah.
what can be done at the State House with respect to keeping our youth here. And you're right, housing is the biggest issue.
Oh, I think so.
Because there's jobs. We have the jobs, and we have the great jobs.
Yeah.
It's not menial jobs. It's
No.
good career starting jobs with room to grow.
Sure.
So that's the advantage that we have here in Manchester. So Manchester's a worker community. It's enhances workers. Manchester is situated to enhance workers.
And as we say, that the big deal is affordable housing, workforce housing, because we have plenty of jobs. BAE Systems, 500 new jobs.
Yeah.
And great place to work, great benefits, great place to work, very promising careers, and they're looking for people and just out there busting. And they were here in Manchester.
Well, the bio manufacturing. I
Yes.
mean, there's millions and millions of dollars being put into that, looking for the top-notch workforce. The professional workforce.
Sure.
With room to grow.
Right. Plenty of room.
So I'm anxious to see with all, like, there's over 800 units in the queue right now to be built in downtown area. I know back in 2006, there was a study done, and we had about 8,000 people living in Manchester, living in downtown area. I think it's about up to 11,000 now. We're supposed to get to this magic number of 13 to 14, where it'll attract. Actually, I went to a movie theater in L.A. I can't think of the name of it. They actually made the popcorn when you ordered it. I was like blown away. I was like, oh, it was fresh popcorn. Oh, yeah, we make it right here. I'm like, wow, we need to get this movie theater down here, right?
Right.
So if we get enough people in the downtown area to 13,000 or 14,000, those
Get 'em up and
entities
about.
like that will want to
Right.
come to downtown Manchester, you know, because they have people, 14,000 people has customers in a walking distance to them. So that's the idea. That's how it grows.
Right. Well, again, that growth factor will depend upon retaining and recruiting people.
Right.
And that's so important. Keeping people here, recruiting new people. And how do you get those people here? Affordable housing, workforce housing. That we have all kinds of jobs, and they're high-tech jobs. The Army program in the middle, that's going to keep growing and growing. I mean, that's really state-of-the-art research, cutting-edge resource.
Yeah, and we're fortunate. We're fortunate in Manchester to have that interest.
Yes.
Have the people with
It's here.
the know-how want to do that in the city of Manchester. That's something we need to take advantage of. You know, Manchester's fortunate in that way.
Well,
You know, there was a bill that failed, thank God, to not allow any state money in the train system. You know, why do you do that? You know, we don't have the data. We don't know what's it going to cost, if anything, to the city or the state. You know,
Let's look at it.
so, you know, this is where we take on ideals and we shoot for that effort without having all the details.
Right. Well,
You know, let's get the details, and the details are forthcoming. There was that $4 million expended by the feds
Right.
to study this rail, which they're doing now. I know we just let them know our layovers were, if Manchester was to get one,
Right.
where the layovers would be and where the stations would be.
well,
So
Pat, I could remember taking the train from Boston to Manchester when I was going out with a young girl from Manchester, who I eventually married, and I would take the train.
oh, so that picture I saw you
Right.
in 1960, were you? Well, you were living it, but you weren't in Manchester yet.
No.
Oh, you okay?
I began living in Manchester right after I graduated from college in '61.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
And believe it or not, Pat, I lived on Tilton Street and sublet an apartment because someone else had it, and he had just signed a baseball contract that was going out actually going out west to play, but it was $15 a week. How
Okay.
about that?
Wow.
$15 a week.
Yeah, I saw a picture. I saw a picture at Lou's where he's in his football uniform. They just finished a game. He's hugging he's hugging his now wife.
Right.
And in 1960, and what was the heading on it? It was from a UNH,
Oh,
the
yeah,
UNH
right,
paper,
right.
Conquered.
The conquering hero.
Conquering hero. I was like, wow, how do you fall into that all the time? Right?
Well,
That is good.
very-
It was
very-
a great picture.
Oh yeah, very, very lucky. Very, very lucky. Believe me.
Yeah.
Lucky to have ended up here in Manchester, and I mean, when I hear about these tragedies like these kids, I just feel brokenhearted because I sent my kids to public school here in Manchester. They went to Parker Viney, they went to Parkside, they went to West. One went to UNH, one went to Plymouth State. I mean, we believed in our schools, and
Right.
we believed
Right.
that the kids were going to be safe. And with these things happening around the country, that's becoming problematic.
Yeah, and as an elected official, there's no blame. I
Right.
blame me because I'm the elected official.
Right.
You know, it's my duty to get compromise and get
It makes
bills
sure.
passed that help our constituents and
Right.
keep their quality of life at least maintained, if not improved.
Right.
Right. So, I don't blame anybody because I'm the elected official and I need to find those people that are going to compromise and take action. Like you
we-
started off with the show, taking
Right.
action.
We got to find a way to make things better. And that's our job in life.
Yeah.
I think the idea is to leave this world a little bit better than you found it.
Yeah.
You know, and
Yeah.
and I think we have been the recipients of that. And I know your life was not easy growing up, Pat, and you know there were some bumps in the road in my life, but a lot of people helped us because of their willingness to pitch in.
Right.
And I think that's what we have to sell. We got
Yeah.
somebody on the phone.
Oh,
Let's
one
get
last
this
caller.
one. Let's go. Go ahead.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello?
Yes.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Hi.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Am I on air?
You
You
are
are.
on the air.
Yep.
You are a star.
Hi, Pat.
Hi.
And Lou, this is Jen Drosiak.
Hi, Jen.
I'm sneaking a call in right under the wire. I've been listening to your conversation and find it really fascinating when you mention the jobs are here in the city and the people are here. But lately I've been really trying to think about how to retain people in the city. And while our population is aging, we do have so many young people in this wonderful city. And I grew up here. I do have hometown pride, but I think one of the things the city has struggled with for so long is doing a consistent job at marketing the wonderful things in our city, especially to new residents and new people and young people. And I'm just really excited we have an economic development office again.
you go.
Yep.
Jody
You
Nazaka
bet.
is there.
Well,
and
that's great.
I look forward to
Yeah.
working with her.
Well,
Oh, great.
that's the entity that will market the city to the young people. I see an opportunity now because, walking downtown, I see a lot of young people that are living here. And my thought is, how do we got to keep them here?
Right.
They're coming here. How can we keep them here?
We've got to retain. We've got to retain.
So
Exactly.
in economic development is the office that will help with that.
Yep.
Right.
So, and Jen, I just want to thank you for all. Manchester is full of volunteers. It just blows me away how many people do things just to beautify the city of Manchester.
Yeah.
We don't promote that enough. How's your website coming, by the way, for volunteerism?
Thank you for your comment.
Am I putting you on the
it's really
spot?
hard to get engagement in the city, and especially with younger people. I am trying to collectively put together something called Volunteer Manchester, which is
Yeah.
a Facebook page at the moment to sort of act as a springboard, a hub, a bulletin board, call it what you will, of volunteer opportunities that I know are available to people in the city of Manchester. So I just
Great.
started it. It's limping along. I don't know where it will go, but there are a lot of great things happening in the city and a lot of great people doing wonderful things. And
And
hope
an
to shepherd them along.
opportunity to meet other people.
Right.
Under the
Absolutely.
same with the same interest, right?
Right.
So that's great.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay. Well,
Hey,
thanks.
thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Jen.
you. Take care.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye. Well, that's pretty good.
Yeah, she's awesome.
Yeah.
She's the one that does all the cleanups of the areas, the water areas, and
Oh, wow.
I mean, what work she puts in where a lot of people don't realize that.
Yeah. Oh, that's for sure. That was a great call.
Yeah.
It speaks well of people's concern about the city and people's willingness to participate in making the city better. And,
We have every opportunity in
Right.
the city. We have every opportunity. We just need to harness it.
right. Harnessing the opportunity is key. People talking to one another, people coming to consensus, people coming to compromise. I mean, that's to me what makes a great deal of sense.
Sure.
We got 2 minutes left, Pat. And
Oh, my
this
goodness.
is your opportunity to really sell
Yeah,
beautiful Manchester.
I've always been a believer that every aspect of a community needs to be heard. If you turn away any aspect of your community, you don't really have a strong community.
Right.
So every aspect of our community needs somebody to listen to them and to act upon what they're lacking in. And the city of Manchester has that. We have entities that are willing to listen, that are willing to lift every aspect of quality of life in the city. Doesn't matter your economic status, doesn't matter whether you were born here or not. Just to help out the community, we have that base already. Like Jen mentioned, it's a matter of harnessing that.
Right. Well, where there's a will, there's a way.
Yeah.
And we have the will, and people have got to come together and produce the way. Well, this is the end of our program. I want to thank Pat Long, who's always available.
Thank
and,
you.
Great public servant, works hard. And thank Bob Backus, who's out of town, and Mr. Fowley, who's out of town. But they'll be back next week for the progress report, and I'll be here the first Wednesday of the month. That's my normal spot. So thanks a lot for listening. Thanks so much for the calls. Thanks for your concern about the homeless, the concern about Manchester, and together we can make a difference, and we can make Manchester a better place. So thanks for watching.
Thank you.
Good night, everybody. Thank you.